Make sure you're following along because it's kind of hard to see this when I'm just drawing, but it's really good and easy to see it on your calculator. Okay, now we're going to talk about exponents. And really the best way to do exponents is with this key, the exponent key. So let's talk about how that works. Let's say we want to find 4 to the 2, 4 squared. The way we're going to do that, there's actually 2 ways to do that. The first way is to type 4 and then hit the square button. What you'll see is this, and you'll be done. Hit enter and you'll get 16. The other way to do it is to hit 4, then to hit your exponent button. And what you'll get is this. You'll get a 4, and then you'll get one of those little flashing things, a special space that your calculator will have created above the 4. In that space, you can write your 2. If you want, you can right arrow out of the space so that it now looks something like this with your next spot over here. If you wanted to type something in that next spot because maybe you had some extra stuff over here, you could. But in this problem, because all we wanted to do was find 4 squared, we just hit enter and we get 16. What if we had a more complicated exponent? Well, it's really no different. Let's say we wanted to find 3.2 to the pi. And you'll notice pi has its own key because it's so important. So let's say we wanted to find 3.2 to the pi. If you're not familiar with pi, it's just an important constant that shows up all the time. So that's a number, and in case you're not familiar with it, pi is approximately 3.14159. The important thing is that this is just a more complicated exponent, but it's not any more complicated to type. We type 3, then the decimal point, then 2, then we hit the exponent key. Then we hit the exponent key, and we've got our space. We hit the pi key to type pi. Let's imagine if we were doing maybe 3.2 to the pi plus 4. So now we're stuck up here. If we typed plus 4, it would show up here, which is bad. So we need to use the right arrow key to get out. We use the right arrow key. We have 3.2 to the pi. Our space is now here. And we can type plus and then 4. Hit enter, and we'll be done. The last thing we're going to talk about is roots. If you're unsure about these exponents and roots just pay attention to the notation here, and we're going to talk about what these mean in the next video. So, if this is a bit confusing, just bear with me. Okay. So let's talk about the square root symbol. Let's say we want to take the square root of 289. So what we do is we type the square root symbol, but the square root symbol is at one of these green spots. So what we really have to do is we have to type second and then this key. And what we'll get is the square root symbol and a space to type on the inside. We type 289 in this space, and then hit enter. Let's say we wanted to find, and by the way, when you do this, you should get 17. Let's say we wanted to find the square root of 16 plus 7. We do the same thing as before. We get our square root symbol by using the second key, and then the key under the square root symbol on the calculator. We've got our space. There it is. We type 16. We use our right arrow key to get out of the square root. Our space is now over here. And we type plus 7. Okay. There are other kinds of roots besides square roots, and those include cube roots, and we're going to talk about those next. Okay, so let's say we want to compute the cube root of 27. So in order to do this, notice that there is a xth root button right there. So in order to access this, eventually we're going to need to hit second and then hit the exponent key in that order so that we get this. And this is how the syntax, the way that you use this button, works. So first you type 3, then you hit second, and then you hit this key so that you'll get the xth root. And what that does is it makes your screen look like this. So it'll turn that 3 into the little third cube root sign above the root, and it'll give you a space to type your next numbers inside the root symbol. Type 27, hit enter, and you'll get your answer, which should be 3.